Hi, my name is Nathan, and today we're going to do a comic book review of Task Force Z, issue number 1, brought to you by RatedComics. Let's get to it. Now, in this horror comic, we begin this issue with Man-Bat on the hunt for Crazy Quilt, and as he captures it, ready to take his head off, Crazy Quilt is like, please, can you let me go? And Man-Bat's like, no, because he's possessed, he's like dead already. So Crazy Quilt blasts him over the roof. Crazy Quilt just has his look on his face like, yeah, now you've learned to not mess with Crazy Quilt. Red Hood comes in, knocks him out cold, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna need to ask you a few questions. I need you to step away from the ledge. So they go and have this little battle, and Crazy Quilt's like, I'm not going back to prison, yo. You'll never take me alive. Maybe not, says Red Hood, but Bane comes up behind him, holds him down, and Red Hood's like, but alive isn't exactly a high priority for us. And he's like, no, Bane, I saw you die. Perhaps you did. We'll explain that later. Before Bane either decides to rip him in half or throws him off the ledge, Red Hood tells him, look, Bane can do either or, but he doesn't always do what I ask, so I got some questions for you. And Crazy Quilt's like, yes, I'll do anything, just have him put me down, please. Smart man. Red Hood hands Bane a Lazarus pill to make sure these guys don't go completely all the way zombie. Even though they're dead, what's keeping them from going all the way zombie or borderline zombie or keeping at that barrier is these green Lazarus pills, what they call Lazarus resin. So the interrogation begins and they ask Crazy Quilt, after you escaped Arkham, hey, what are they smuggling? What are they up to? Who are you working for? And before he can even answer or talk, Man-Bat comes in and he's ready to rip his head off. He's like, and Crazy Quilt's like, dude, I said I'll talk. Get him off of me. And then Red Hood calls Bane to get Man-Bat off of him, and he calls back to headquarters or whatnot and tells him, hey, if you want your dude in one piece, target's been captured. We need pickup now. So back at Project Halperin headquarters, Red Hood is taking a shower and he's being watched by Dr. Shelley, but not in a sexual way. Right. No, actually the comic book does a really good job explaining that it is not in a sexual way. It's just an observation on her part. And she tells him, you were not in the decontamination shower for the entire recommended time. And Jason Todd's like, yeah, right. And she tells him, if you're implying that I somehow derive some kind of personal pleasure from watching you shower, bro, I can assure you I am way more interested in dead bodies. So Red Hood asks, what's the point of the decontamination shower? And she tells him, you were in contact with Man-Bat's body fluids with the Lazarus resin, and you were in contact with the Lazarus resin. We don't know what the effects are and whatnot, so we want to keep you monitored. Even though they say it's safe in a relative sense, that the resin keeps these homicidal metahumans from being brought back from the dead against their will and turning full zombies, but we don't know how safe it is to not people who are not metahumans or undead or whatnot. So as they have the conversation, Red Hood comes across this room and she meets Hannah, Miss Holbert. And she's like a psychologist, and as they introduce, Red Hood's thinking like, oh my gosh, these monsters are gonna eat you alive. And she's like, excuse me? Well, I'm a lady, why don't you show some respect? And he was like, what, are you upset about what? Well, you don't call them monsters. The term monsters I find objectionable. Aren't they your teammates? Yeah, they're my teammates, but barely. I mean, they're not here of their own free will, and they're barely alive, so I don't know how you refer to that as team. They're monsters. You have to give them this pill to make sure to stop these monsters from eating civilians. And Miss Holbert, Hannah, also tells Red Hood that, hey, where you see a monster, another might see a soul struggling for redemption. Or do you believe that some souls are beyond redemption, Jason? He's like, well, I spent some time thinking about that, and I think I know the answer, but I really hope I'm wrong. So he gets called over the intercom to go into the hall for a word. And as Jason goes into the hall for a word, he has to go into this holding cell where Dr. Shelley is interrogating Crazy Quilt. So as Jason goes in the room to see Crazy Quilt get interrogated, Dr. Shelley is there. She's like, hey, I thought you want to see this. Observing the living again. This is some crazy stuff. At least this time he's wearing clothes. That's a very clap back. And Dr. Shelley's like, what? Am I supposed to know what the heck you're talking about? So as they ask him who you're working for or who you've been working for since you escaped, they knew he was going to say that, so they have something in mind. And they release a zombie-like version of Arkham Knight to bring in to give him a little scare. And Jason's like, what the heck? This isn't a game. Like, this is horrible. Why'd you capture me? I don't want to be here. And then Christian's like, look, Jason, we don't have a problem with you. I have a solution to the problem, and that is you. And I didn't capture you. The police did. I traded with them for your release. If you don't want to be here, leave. but I am what's keeping you out of prison. And as Arkham Knight gets closer, about to eat this guy away, Crazy Quilt away, and then Jason Todd like, Chris, call it off or else I will personally put every one of your monsters down, and when I'm done with them, I'm coming for you. Crazy Quilt's like, okay, get it away, I'll talk. Dr. Shelley's like, see, it works. And Jason's just not comfortable with these tactics as well. So Dr. Shelley gives him a piece of advice. The sooner you stop thinking yourself as the brave hero in some fairy tale, surrounded by evil monsters, the sooner you realize that this isn't that kind of story at all. And we're all monsters, but that doesn't mean we can't be put to good use. So now as it gets suited up, set up for another mission, obviously Crazy Quilt divulges who he was working for, Red Hood tells Man-Bat, Bane, Mr. Bloom, and team, like, hey, we got to keep the destruction down to a minimum, no killing. I call the shots out here, and what I say goes. And if we F this up, it's back to the ground for all of you. You guys got it? Got it. And Mr. Bloom's like, field leader, Mr. Hood, sir, just to clarify, I'm actually not dead like you. He's like, I know, Mr. Bloom, but I don't care. So as they get into the warehouse and they start going through these boxes, they come to discover that they find a very drug that powers the undead teammates here. It's the Lazarus resin. And they're like, okay, is Crispin like holding back secrets? What the heck is going on? Before you know it, Mr. Freeze and team come in here like, what are you guys doing here? You will regret trying to steal from me. Bring them to me. Task Force Z gets into action. I love this display right here. Arkham Knight goes in killing. Red Hood tells Freeze, under the Federal Task Force Act, I am arresting you for aiding and abetting escape felons. And Freeze like, bro, I'd have done no such thing. You are no government agents. You are the broken bat boy and the handful of dead mental patients. Relax. Bane gets frozen. This team is getting down here. And Red Hood tells him, all right, everyone, we need to work as a team to take down Freeze. I love how they had to inject Man-Bat's Lazarus resin. And the Man-Bat screams out, Freeze! And he's like, stupid creature. He puts him on the blast, freezes him up, takes off his head, and throws his head at Bane's as it puts Bane into pieces. And I absolutely love this. This is terribly going wrong, and I am all for it. With that being said, I gotta leave a little meat on the bone for you guys with this. Task Force Z is a horror comic. This is a story with a superb concept that I absolutely enjoyed. From the first scene, the intense action of the series is indicated. The plot moves along quickly, allowing you as a reader to get what they came for. Now, I gotta say, I haven't read a lot of DC comics. This is the second DC comic I reviewed on the channel. So I do understand that, and I believe that I had to do some reading before the story, but I feel I enjoyed this intense violence and awesome dialogue without much understanding from the previous issue. And hey, this is an enjoyable read. I think you'll have fun reading this. Now, what I also enjoy with this issue is the potential of someone getting killed or eaten alive or eaten is higher. The risk is there in this book. I mean, I think when someone has that risk of being killed and they make it known that anyone can be killed at any given time, this just makes the book that much more compelling. And it's definitely worth adding to your comic book collection. Link in description, by the way, if you wish to purchase this comic book from Rated Comics. With that being said, Task Force Z, issue number 1. What do you guys think about the comic book? Comment below, let me know. Also, if you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book giveaway. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.